I'm always concerned.
Well, that's the one that you just, that's our issue. That's what we've got to guard against.
Who's watching soap operas? I said no dang Twitter.
Soap opera is what we do. It is college sports after all. Welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Please say hello to Howie Lindsay. Howie, welcome to the show.
I can't wait. Can you feel the intensity building?
We're ready.
I mean, the coaches are getting excited. The players are getting excited. They just want to go out there and hit each other.
Coaches do?
Absolutely. Well, the players do too. They're tweeting about it now that Twitter's back on for UK. Both sides are tweeting about it, and I can't wait. I mean, that game is electric always, but when it's the first game of the season, we've got all summer to look forward to it. Even better.
The theme of the show this week is We Got Issues. A great time to say hello to Daryl Bird at the Cat's Paws.
Thank you.
He got issues.
I got serious issues. I have no problem with that, and I'm like how I cannot wait, and I know if it's right for the blue side to say this, but I love it when this game is the first game of the year. Yeah. I'm sorry, I've always disagreed.
That's sacrilege.
I always disagree with Rich Brooks on it. It needs to be the first game of the year, just for what we are seeing. Yep. This would not be here for Kent State. I'm sorry. It is here because it's the opener.
Well, we are going to talk about both programs having issues as we are approaching kickoff of the first game of the year. Today's show is brought to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety, who reminded me to remind you that when you jump in the car, you got to click it or ticket. Kentucky basketball fans are wondering if perhaps they may get a ticket from the NCAA regarding Nerlens Noel, the National Player of the Year in some circles. Daryl, tell me what you know about the NCAA snooping back into Kentucky's #1 recruit.
Yeah, it's actually still going on into August, and the story is okay in that they're still investigating to try to figure out why or how he got funded to make unofficial visits to UK, to U of L, and several trips to Syracuse. That's okay. The fan base is going ballistic because the writer, Pete Thamel, is dragging out and trying to say, well, Sandy Bell went, and that's a huge issue. That never happens, even though his own story at the very end says it's at their discretion. It's really not that unusual. He just heightened the importance of it and the nervousness of it just by trying to make it bigger than what it is. Went through something very similar with John Wall. He had to sit out a couple of games, and it may play out this way. This is not a season-ending type of a deal we saw with Enes Kanter a few years ago. They've just got to get through it. He is at UK, he is enrolled, went through photo day and all that, so they just need to get past this, get this one resolved. But anytime the NCAA is snooping, you better be nervous because they are judge, jury, and executioner.
One of the issues confronting Louisville this year, as you know, last year and the year before, the expectations not very high for the Louisville football team. Well, then they come in and they managed to get a piece of the Big East Conference Championship. Well, this year they're starting the season as paper champions, but Preston Brown is quick to remind you they play it on the field, not in the papers.
Yeah, it's different once because everybody on the team can draw the play up on the board, but when those X and O's is moving, it's a little tougher. So you can see the freshmen have a little bit of troubles, but they'll get it by the time we start playing.
One of the most dangerous phrases in all of college sports is, this team has more talent than anybody they'll play. Because those kids know that. And those kids read their own press clippings, and they know that people say, this is the most talented team in the Big East. We should go out there and beat people. You know, but talent does not win games, and this is what Charlie Strong has been preaching over the last 3 weeks, is that, you know, effort and preparation wins games. Your talent, your 4-star status or whatever, is not going to win you a single thing.
You know, it's a real refreshing approach that we're seeing from the Louisville coaches this year because, Howard, they're not backing away from these expectations. Back in the days when we covered guys like Lou Holtz and all those, Vince Dooley, who would either badmouth their own team or build up the opposition, the Louisville coaching staff's really not backing away from this.
Not so far. Yeah. Now, Charlie has an extensive history. Yeah, Charlie's got an extensive history with Lou Holtz. So I'm expecting the week of the UK game to hear how great UK is and how his team's got all this, and maybe not the full Lou Holtz act, but at least a little bit of it.
Well, as you know, one of the issues facing Kentucky this year was a lingering effect from last year. The offense was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. This year, they need 30 yards and a whirlwind.
Hey, the reason why we weren't successful in advancing the ball down the field in the passing game, we didn't have any big plays. And you're not very seldom, especially if you're not a very efficient team, you're not going to be able to drive the ball 12, 14 plays a game. It's hard to do that every series. We have got to have some have to have some 30, 40, 50-yard plays.
He's right on so many fronts. One, you have to have those big plays to keep defenses honest, to put some points on the board. If you're going to keep that fan base happy, you better not be running the ball. They had in the second scrimmage, they had a 98-yard drive and never threw the ball, and it took like 1,000,000 plays to pull. Now, they did that on purpose just to see how the O-line, the running game, would handle it. That would win games, and I guess the fans would be happy if you're winning, but you got to have some excitement. They got to be able to keep the defensive honest. Because the last thing you need if you're Kentucky is the other team putting 15 guys in the box.
Well, that brings up maybe what's another issue. If the Kentucky defense allows that offense to go 98 yards, do they have another issue that we need to discuss here,
We'll
Darryl?
see. We will find out, won't we?
We sure will. Well, Louisville has an issue when it comes to the offensive front. They've got 5 experienced guys up front, but 3 of those guys are sophomore. Mario Benavides not worried.
I think we all got some learning to do, but they've made the biggest improvements overall between all 5 of us. I think your freshman and sophomore year is a big year for anybody because that can either make or break you. You know, a lot of guys go into a slump. A lot of guys respond well. I mean, it just depends on the type of player you are. And I think that those three guys around me have responded in a positive way, and so they've made the biggest improvements. I don't have, not that I didn't have confidence last year, but I guess there's a sense of comfort having them next to me now. It feels like they've been playing forever, so they've definitely come a long way.
It's a security blanket, the way he's talking. He's got a sense of comfort with those sophomores next to him. He's got Jake Smith, he's got John Miller, and he's got Jamon Brown. All 3 of those guys played at some point during their freshman year, and those guys are back again. And I think having that spring, having the summer, learning the full offense, having an offensive coordinator that's been there for longer, I think will do wonders for these kids. The other thing I've noticed about all 3 of them, they're very smart, very smart. So they'll pick up concepts really quickly, and that's what allowed them to play as a freshman. Now, give that intelligence an extra year, how much better they're going to be.
One of the issues facing Kentucky is that always tough SEC. The last UK football coach to win an SEC title was Fran Kersey, and that's been 30 years ago now since those guys claimed a championship in the SEC. Fran says the SEC was tough then, it's tougher now, and it's going to be even tougher in the future.
And now that here they want to open up their own network, TV network, which is going to go from $100 million to $1 billion. So they're going to keep getting the people that want to come play, the kids that want to come play there, and so you're in that league. And if you're in that league, you got to get the same players everybody else is getting, and that's where Kentucky's got to really pick it up. And I don't know. I mean, it's just hard to play in that league.
Like how he said, they've got to pick it up and get those same players, and then caution, well, I don't know. And it's so tough to do. At this point, you would have to have several years of success to reach the point and break the paradigm of I'm the best high school player in America. I'm going to go to Kentucky instead of Alabama or LSU or any of those other schools like that. It will take a lot of success to ever get to that very upper echelon where you're getting those kids. If you don't believe me, look at the basketball side of it. And to me, if you're UK, I deal with it. In the SEC, I would rather have a basketball team that is winning the league and a football team that is really struggling, and likewise Alabama football fans would rather have the champion and a basketball team that's than to be living at 500 in both sports. That would drive you nuts. I'll take feast or famine any day.
Now this year in the SEC, correct me if I'm wrong, and you always do, they don't get Alabama.
No.
Don't play LSU.
No.
Right? So
they don't get A&M.
Yeah, they don't get A&M. So their schedule is a little softer this year in the SEC, but not by much because I believe 6 of their first 8 opponents this year, Kentucky's opponents, are all ranked.
Yeah,
6 of 8.
They do still get Georgia, and they get a road trip to Florida. They get a road trip to Missouri. They do have a road trip to Arkansas. So it's still there. I mean, for crying out loud, it's the most incredible league in the country.
You know, sometimes after football games, Louisville fans go to Applebee's. Well, this year, Applebee's is coming to them, and he's going to be punting.
The speed of the game is a lot faster for him. It's no different for him than it would be for a quarterback, a receiver, a defensive lineman. So he has to make his adjustments, and as time goes by and he gets used to it, he'll be where he needs to be. He has the ability, when he relaxes and he hits the ball like he's supposed to with technique, he can really change the field, and that's why we can.
You know, the point of this is that Louisville really doesn't know who their punter is going to be. And you know, I don't know whether that's even going to be resolved before the first game, but whether it's going to go in the second game. Josh Appleby has a ton of talent. And he looks like a bodybuilder. I mean, he bench presses 225 like 20 times.
A punter?
I mean, he's built. The guy's built. The only kicker I've ever seen to roll up his sleeves at fan day. Most of them are hiding as much of that arm as possible. Yeah. He's rolling up his sleeves.
Yeah.
But you know, I think he just doesn't have a whole lot of experience. They've got another couple guys who are trying out for that job. So you know, who Louisville's going to put out there if they have to punt? Now that's the key.
Yeah.
Will they actually have to punt?
They may not have to.
They may not have to
time.
punt. That's what it comes down to. That's the plan. Just don't punt. How about that?
That will bite you in the backside if you don't get that resolved.
And we'll have it on the
Guaranteed.
show when that happens.
Absolutely.
The weather forecast is much better than the winning forecast for this football season for these guys. And if you want to dig into those issues, check out Daryl's football preview.
Do appreciate it. 136 pages. The book is out on newsstands everywhere. Kentucky football season preview. Budding Stars. We've decided to go with Bud Dupree on the cover along with Coach Joker Phillips. He's a sophomore, one of many sophomores and freshmen the UK is going to count on this year. It will make it interesting, to say the least. ShopCatsPaws.com is a place where you can order it online.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, check out Allstate Ford's pre-owned inventory at allstatetrucks.com. Large selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Also, a nice selection of Ford-certified pre-owned vehicles. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
Here we go. One step at a time, don't be living on the line. I don't need a friend, I got more than on the mind. Sunshine in my brain, making everyone complain. Radio in the heart, don't be being so strange. Think I'm losing it, baby, when
Buying your next VW from Bachman Volkswagen will be a great experience. No games or gimmicks, competitive prices, and a huge inventory make #1 Bachman the place to get your Volkswagen. The all-new 2012 Jetta, an IHS top safety pick, is a great vehicle and fun to drive. Or get the sporty all-new 2012 Volkswagen Beetle. It's back and better than ever. Come to #1 Bachman Volkswagen today to get your new Volkswagen before someone else does.
Bachman makes a difference.
To save more lives this summer, we've stepped up highway law enforcement. So don't forget to buckle up, don't speed, and don't drive under the influence. Because this summer, we're going to have Kentucky completely covered. Blue lights across the bluegrass.
No excuses, no exceptions.
Join the club at Sam Swope Auto Group. When you service a vehicle at any Sam Swope dealership, you automatically become a Service VIP Rewards member. You get member pricing on parts and service, lost key return, and emergency roadside assistance. Plus, you can earn points that qualify you for discounts on your next vehicle purchase, up to $2,500. The best part is becoming a member is free. Become a member today at any Sam Swope dealership. Nobody walks away because everybody saves.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, stop by Allstate Ford and test drive a new Edge or Explorer. Or visit us online at allstatetrucks.com. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
They come to work every day. Every day they come to work and they compete. They come to work knowing it's a process, and they work their tail ends off. So when things like that start happening, you've got a chance to be really good.
Hey, that's why the show succeeds. These guys work their butts off. Welcome back to the Red and Blue Review. We are talking about the issues the particular programs have heading into their first game of the season, and how perfect. When UK met the media to begin this whole process of the college football season, the weather in in Lexington was overcast and rainy, sort of like the forecast for football this year.
And when we play 12, then we have to be judged. Okay, but we don't want to be judged before the season starts. You know, that's everybody making predictions that never have to be held accountable for anything anyway. So we're accountable to ourselves. We got one game in mind. Let's try to find a way to beat Louisville, because they beat us last year. It's an arch rival. It's an in-state game. It's our first game, and most importantly, it's our next game. That's all we're focused on, is the next game. We're not worried about what people say, what they don't say. We couldn't be more excited and more happy. So there's nothing dark about today except the fact it's cloudy.
Love talking to Rick Minner.
Yeah, the best.
I get the first thing in the morning, he attacks his bowl of cornflakes. He doesn't. He just attacks it, because everything, he's always on the go, and he talks a mile a minute, and he's right. It's going to be interesting to see. This is his second full year, so these kids who are trying to play this 3-4 with the hybrid players, this is their second go around. So you think hopefully that team is going to be a lot better on that side, and maybe that will help cover some of the problems you're going to have on the offensive side with so many young players. But he's right. You're not going to go in there and tell these kids they're going 2-9. Yeah. That's not happening. They believe they're going to win every game, and you have to be that way if you're a competitor.
When you're playing football, you would think the kicking game would be well seasoned for both programs. Howie's already talked about the issue that Louisville has on the punting side, but it's on the kickoff side as well, as Kenny Carter explains.
I wouldn't say anybody's a front runner right now. It's like an open enrollment deal. I mean, you go out there and we try to get the best guy and see what they give them all opportunities. And Nakatani's involved in the rotation too. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to game.
It's not bad enough that Kenny Carter asked me if I could kick the other day.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. But
by the way, can you?
No, I'm absolutely terrible at it. But, you know, they are auditioning guys. I mean, they've got 3 or 4 guys out there kicking, and he's whispering in all their ears about how terrible they are and they're going to miss this kick because he wants to put the pressure on them to try to figure out how they're going to do. If you've got a kicker that's never kicked in front of people, never kicked in front of the lights, and there's a difference between high school lights and these kind of lights. So it's a nervous point for Louisville. What's going to happen when 55,000 fans are hoping that you make this field goal?
Yep.
I mean, you know, there's been some big-time snafus from guys running out there for the first time, and I just hope they don't miss the ball the first time.
You know, Darryl, we do sometimes minimize the kicking game,
do.
but it is a huge part of the process of winning and losing, isn't it?
Yeah, for as much bluster as we've heard from the Louisville side all year about how great this team is going to be and undefeated at home and all this other stuff, if you're worried about your punter and your kicker, you're going to lose some ball games. You better get that straightened out. And the fact they're talking about it publicly is let you know it's probably worse than it is. But inside, they've got to be scared to death. They've got to get this figured out, or it will cost them.
Those who follow the gambling side of college sports all know that Kentucky is going to get beat in this ball game because Kentucky is a 14-point favorite. Now, Joker Phillips said he didn't even know the Cats were a 14-point underdog until he talked to a friend of his on the phone.
I had a friend of mine called me the other day and says, "Whew, I really like 14," and I'm thinking, "How I like him too." I don't know. You know, he says, "I really like 14." I'm like, "Oh yeah, he did a good job today in the scrimmage and all that." He says, "No, I'm talking about." So I mean, but we don't worry about that. You can throw that out in games like this. This is a team that's 2 teams that are 80 miles apart. 2 teams that when you strap it up, anything can happen.
For clarification, 14 is Patrick Tolles, but this is one time when that was pure coach speak, but he's right.
Yeah.
You forget about it. UK had no business years ago under Guy Morris going to Louisville and winning at Cardinal Stadium. Louisville the same way last year had no business coming into Commonwealth Stadium and winning that game. So 14, fine. Make it 14 if you want. It will be much closer. It always is.
Why is that the case? Why does this game always seem to be more closely played, with the exception of the Petrino years when he was killing everybody?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
He was ruthless because of the rivalry. They know each other, and it means so much, and I think it's heightened even more being the first game. Because you come out, you've been working. I know UK's had the reminders up about the Louisville game all year, and I'm sure Louisville has too. It just means so much. You do not want to start with a loss, so you're going to come out playing the best you can. And yes, there will be some mistakes, but guess what? Everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
Nobody's dinged up from the SEC. They can actually go get it.
Louisville has 5, maybe 6 guys vying for that running back slot. One of the issues is who's going to be the guy that takes the job. Dominique Brown says that competition has been a good thing.
It's been good. We like the running backs. We got a lot of competition, so none of us can take a day off. So we just keep competing every day, every rep count.
What has that competition been like?
It's been great for all of us. You can't be arrogant or nothing like that. You got to be humble. Your job can get took at any time, so you got to come out here and work. You can't take plays off. With Jeremy Wright, Corvin Lamb, Sonoris Perry, and Zed Evans, so we all got to be humble and just keep competing.
I think we'll probably see 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 running backs against Kentucky, depending on how out of hand the score gets. Excuse me. But I do think it'll be probably Jeremy Wright to start, and then Dominique Brown, and then probably Sonoris Perry. And then, if the Cards are up 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Howie gets to kick.
Yeah, absolutely. I get to kick, and we may give some carries to some credit. No, I do think you'll see three running backs reasonably because they do different things. Jeremy Wright's an every down back. Dominique Brown's a power back. Sonoris Perry's a home run hitter. Zed Evans is that kind of home run threat. So if they all did the exact same things, then no, there'd be no reason to have 4. But I do think they've got some specific skills that they'll use each one.
Well, you think your teenager is a know-it-all. Well, the team that Howie's covering, the coaches says they're coaching a few of those kids right now. We'll talk about that when we come back. Our Mr. Know-it-all when it comes to Cardinal sports has a way you can find out everything you need to know about this Cardinal football team.
Absolutely. If you've subscribed to the Louisville Sports Report this season by calling us or logging onto the internet or anything like that, the preview edition has been mailed to your house. It is the Louisville Football Preview Edition, the 2012 version. If you have not subscribed, or if you're a Cardinal Athletic Fund donor, you should have received a couple of emails. So check your email for an email from Subscriber System, or it's called Uberflip, and you can get the online edition all this season. If you'd prefer to get that paper copy, give us a call, 636-4330.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, check out Allstate Ford's pre-owned inventory at allstatetrucks.com. Large selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Also, a nice selection of Ford certified pre-owned vehicles. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
Here we go. One step at a time, don't be living on the line. I don't need a friend, I got morbid on the mind. Sunshine in my brain, making everyone complain. Radio in the heart, don't be being so strange. Think I'm losing it, baby, where?
Buying your next VW from Bachman Volkswagen will be a great experience. No games or gimmicks, competitive prices, and a huge inventory make #1 Bachman the place to get your Volkswagen. The all-new 2012 Jetta, an IHS top safety pick, is a great vehicle and fun to drive. Or get the sporty all-new 2012 Volkswagen Beetle. It's back and better than ever. Come to #1 Bachman Volkswagen today to get your new Volkswagen before someone else does.
Bachman makes a difference.
To save more lives this summer, we've stepped up highway law enforcement. So don't forget to buckle up, don't speed, and don't drive under the influence. Because this summer, we're going to have Kentucky completely covered. Blue lights across the bluegrass.
No excuses, no exceptions.
Join the club at Sam Swope Auto Group. When you service a vehicle at any Sam Swope dealership, you automatically become a Service VIP Rewards member. You get member pricing on parts and service, lost key return, and emergency roadside assistance. Plus, you can earn points that qualify you for discounts on your next vehicle purchase, up to $2,500. The best part is becoming a member is free. Become a member today at any Sam Swope dealership. Nobody walks away because everybody saves.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Well, stop by Allstate Ford and test drive a new Edge or Explorer. Or visit us online at allstatetrucks.com. Allstate Ford on the Watterson at Poplar Level Road.
What a difference when it comes to expectations when you're looking at the Kentucky sports program. Obviously, the football team, as we've talked about, their expectations are basketball team expectations are always off the roof. Kentucky coming off its 8th national championship, and Cal is ready to go hunting #9.
If that were the case, instead of having 8 banners, we'd have 38 banners. You're not winning it every year. They know that. They want you up at bat every year. And you know what? They have a right to expect that. You're Kentucky.
And we want to drop in a little bit of basketball news here because at least for our perspective, basketball yearbook is well underway. We have to send to the printer mid-September, even while football is going on. And photo days coming up, interviews with the new players are coming up. The young freshmen coming in have been talking since last year. Hey, we want to win the national title too. We want to come in and do the same thing last year's group did. They don't have a clue how hard that is. They don't have a clue. But I suspect Calipari is already informing them of that during the summer workouts.
Well, one of the other difference makers that we see on the Louisville side of things is that offense and what they expect this team to achieve this coming season. Sean Watson says one of the challenges to achieving high expectations is he's doing it with a bunch of sophomores who seem to know everything already.
So the biggest thing we have to do is stay consistent. We have to keep the heat on and keep the pressure on and keep developing them. Yeah, we're joking coming off the field today, our veteran sophomores, because that's what we are. The thing about sophomores, I had a coach I worked for, Gary Barnett, used to have a saying that the toughest year is the sophomore year because they no longer need you. They got the answers now. So you got to ride that wave.
And I think some of that pertains to, those young offensive linemen. Teddy Bridgewater's a sophomore. Eli Rogers is a sophomore. They've got some guys who've got a little bit of experience under their belt. Now, that's scary for coaches because, as he said, they start thinking that they know everything. But I think Teddy Bridgewater is mature enough to understand that he doesn't know everything. In talking with him quite a bit, he talks so much about how he's got so much to improve. He's focused in, he studies video all the time. So I think he's okay. Now, whether or not those linemen kind of get the message that they're not the best things in slice spread, whether or not Eli Rogers and some of those wide receivers and backs, whether they get it, I'm not sure. But I think with Teddy as your leader and him saying, hey, we don't know everything yet. We're not, we lost 6 games or whatever last year. So I think he can lead that. The question is, can he get their mindsets changed fast enough for that first game?
Yeah.
Because if they go into that first game thinking they know everything, I mean, Kentucky still got scholarship athletes.
Yeah, and the problem with that is if you go into the game and you're not ready to play, you don't get ready once you start.
Yeah,
it might
done.
cost you a game to realize you didn't really know everything.
Oh, the Marshall game.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember vividly after that game, Charlie pulling the guys off and off the field in pregame, and he said you guys were having fake juice out there. That's where that term came from, and he was saying they're just going through the motions. Now, if that happens against UK, that's trouble.
Well, it is time now for both teams to fully focus on each other. I know they talk about in the preseason, they're all just working on themselves. I guarantee you there's been some peeking ahead to what's going on in blue and red in both camps. Camp is now over. Game week has arrived. Kentucky and Louisville, the Governor's Cup game. The Cats were stunned last year at home. Will the Cats turn the favor when they return to Papa John's Cardinal Stadium next Sunday? We'll talk about it next time right here on the Red and Blue Review.
When you visit Kentucky and savor some of its unique experiences, you'll be surprised by how much your vacation really comes to life. To plan your Kentucky vacation, call today or visit KentuckyTourism.com.